I'd like to call this District of Clearwater Regular Council meeting for Tuesday, December 5th at 2-ish to order. I'd like to, before we get started, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are fortunate to be gathering together on the unceded territory of the Tsimshian, who have been caretakers of this land since time immemorial. We're moving on to introduction of late items. Does anybody want to add something? Councillor Sim,
Yes, one for the in-camera under K, please.
Section 90 under K.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, before we move on, I'd just like to send the mayor's regrets. He's unable to attend. So we're moving on to the adoption of the December 5th, 2023 regular council meeting agenda. Can someone make a motion to move that? Councillor Bratton, second.
Second that.
Councillor McKenzie. All those in favor? Moving on to declaration of known conflict of interest or pecuniary interest. Does anybody have any? Okay. Moving on to TNRD director is Mr. Zhao online.
No, he's not.
Okay, thank you. No delegation. So we'll move on to adoption of the minutes for the regular council meeting held November 23rd.
So moved.
Councillor McKenzie, Councillor Matheson. And we're moving on to 8.2, the minutes of, oh, sorry. All those in favor? Thank you. Moving on to minutes of the council workshop for October 25th and November 28th. Councillor Bratton moved that the minutes of the council workshops held October 25th and November 28th be adopted as presented. A seconder? Councillor Matheson. All those in favor? It's carried. So moving on to development and zoning. We're moving on to the Dunn Lake DVP 2302. Does staff have anything to?
Yes, Acting Mayor Frizzle, we do have TNRD Planning Services in
Excellent.
attendance to just answer any questions if you have any.
All right, is there? Are you?
Go ahead, Linda. Ms. Perotti, did you want to say anything?
Would you like us to do a little presentation on it? It'll be the same as we did last time in November, but
No.
No. Just
okay.
if there's anything new. Is there any questions on it from council? No?
Not on this.
So,
It's a pretty easy one.
yeah, so
Make the motion.
Councillor Sim has moved that the development variance permit number DVP 23-02 on Dunn Lake Road, District Lot 1684, KDYD, accept plans B454, 20337, and KAP 49916 be approved. Seconder for that?
Second that.
Councillor McKenzie. All those in favor? Approved. Moving on to DVP 2303 on Barber Road. Any questions of Councillor Sim?
No questions, just I think that this is a really sensible plan, and I'd like to move the recommendation.
Thank you.
Second that.
And Councillor McKenzie seconded. All in favor? That's carried. So thank you for attending and not having anything to say.
Merry Christmas.
enjoy the rest of your meeting. And yes, Merry Christmas. It's hard to believe it's around the corner.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Ciao.
All right, so moving on to unfinished business. We're moving right along here. There's nothing for reconsideration of tabled items or deferred items. We're moving on to committee restructure proposal. There's a staff report on the committee restructure. So, staff like to speak to this?
Yes, Acting Mayor Frizzle. This did come back off of a report at a previous meeting, as well as further discussion at the committee workshop. Council wanted to see a more streamlined, concise terms of reference for the IDEA committee. This new terms of reference sort of reflects that and has been substantially shortened and potentially made more realistic for small town.
Oh, whoa, we have a few here.
Yeah, that's for the procedure bylaw. Then there's also the emergency program bylaw.
This is the full sort of, or am I getting ahead of myself? I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
I'm on 11.4, my apologies.
Okay.
11.3 is just sort of the remaining recommendations from the committee, from the committee restructure proposal. This is to give staff direction on coming back with these terms of reference at a future date, just to sort of approve us to get that work done.
So
and
to
come
move
back.
forward on
Yes,
drafting the,
correct. And it was discussed at the council workshop,
that's right.
sort of incorporating those changes.
All right. So is there any questions for staff? Councillor Sim?
What are some of the things that you're looking at including with the emergency program bylaw? Is that related to the provincial information that's coming forward, or what are your thoughts on that?
Councillor Sim through the chair, acting mayor. The changes to the emergency program bylaw that are being proposed here are strictly in regards to the shape of the committee. Right now, the bylaw calls for a emergency program working group. Our proposed changes are just to restructure that into a committee. No further changes were being proposed at this time.
Great.
Any further questions? Okay, there's a recommendation on the table. Would someone like to move it? And the rest of it?
Emergency Program Committee at a future council meeting. And the council approves staff to draft a new bylaw to establish a board of variance and return it along with draft terms of reference for the board of variance at a future council meeting.
Seconder for that? Councillor Bratton? All those in favor? Thank you. So moving on to 11.4, Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility Advisory Committee draft terms of reference. It's staff report on the table.
Yes, thank you, Acting Mayor Frizzle. And this is where I was already at, and this is bringing back that more concise terms of reference. So I'd be open to any questions or further direction from council on this matter.
So what will happen here is that the committee that's already in place, the DEI, will be, what are you saying? They'll be let go, and then we'll be able to apply again for the new committee.
That's correct.
That's right? Okay, thank you. Councillor Sim?
Yeah, so I'm just curious because I think that committee has really made some strides forward, and it's been good. My concern about disbanding it, I know that they had a meeting yesterday, and I'm wondering if this was brought forward to them, that there would be some changes to that committee structure. What I think is if it wasn't brought up and then just to receive a letter, it is a bit disrespectful to their work. So I'm just wondering, is there any information on that?
Go ahead.
Yes, Councillor Shim through Acting Mayor Frizzle. They have been notified a few times. We have discussed it at a few different meetings, and it was on the agenda yesterday, so they are fully aware. They've seen a few different renditions of the draft terms of reference. Some of their input was provided on the more lengthy version that was previously received at council workshop and discussed. So, they are very ingrained in what's going on at this point in time.
Good.
Supplemental to that, it is our provincial mandate to to come up with an accessibility plan. We've got until, I believe it's September 2024, is that right? So 9 months?
Councillor Sim, through the chair, that is correct.
All right. What is the capacity of that group to actually come forward and complete a plan? And does it need to be resourced by council?
And again, that's a very good question. I believe it will need to be resourced by council. I don't believe that the group themselves will be putting the plan together. I think they will be working in conjunction with staff to put the plan together and or a consultant on that, which is to be determined at this time. But that is the only feasible method I see of getting that plan done in a very short time frame.
So and I guess what I'm worried about is, because it's been a provincial mandate, is if we don't actually have a consultant in place in advance of it, is that we're just meeting, and I'm not sure of the objectives to be able to meet if we're not asking questions that can be compiled into a report of an accessibility plan.
I think that maybe when we're looking at new people to be on the committee, we're going to have to look at qualifications.
It is my experience that with these accessibility plans, if it is not done with a consultant from the beginning, we are going to be just running blind. And I think that the committee structure, and I note in the report that there was only an interest of 2 other people who had wanted to come on board with it. In order to be supportive of staff, supportive of the mandate of having this done, does this need to be addressed differently? Should we when do we address the resourcing? When do we look at a consultant? Like, how is this going to actually be done in 9 months?
Go.
So through the chair, just a comment and some suggestions. Certainly my colleague here is correct. Our capacity is quite limited. So if there was a desire to add some resources to go out to the marketplace and go find some people, we could put a proposal call out there fairly quickly, and see what can come back. And it would be helpful to help align our resource capacity with what we could reasonably achieve with the committee. Failing that, certainly council has the option of also to assign a task force to the committee made up of committee members to go out and seek out other accessibility plans and go see what's out there, because this is in the public domain. There'll be other plans out with other municipalities, because everybody has to do this. So it won't. This is not unique to the district. There's over 180 municipalities in British Columbia that are going to have to comply with this. So that said, everything does add to the workload. So we would be, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't do something. But that stated, I think we have to see what kind of proposals we would get. And I think there's also some knowledge of some people that we could go reach out to. Thank you.
I guess my question would be, do we have funding for a consultant? And what would that cost be? I have no idea.
At this time, I don't have a sense of the order of magnitude of the project, but we would have to go to either taxation or some maybe council reserves or something to at least to kick it off. And I know there are grants out there, but we'd have to go and scope around for a few. But beyond that, I don't have an easy answer.
Yeah.
But certainly there, to Councillor Sim's point, we have a deadline. We have to meet this deadline, just like everybody else. I mean, what are the consequences if we don't? Well, I don't know. But there is the responsibility and the expected accountability. But we're not the only ones in the boat, and there's literally many other small organizations that are grappling with the same challenges we are. So, thank you.
Councillor Sim, go ahead.
So there's more. So what I am wondering about is would the committee look at doing a corridor plan? So working with our neighbor municipalities like Valemount, Barrier, and doing some sort of joint. We do have a lot of the seed work that was done with the UNBC, the front door to grocery store plan that could be derived from there. But I want to support this committee to the best of the ability. Is that something that the committee would look to? What are the next steps on this? I do have some concerns.
Well, I guess I don't want to presuppose what council's vision is for this. So it is a creature of council, but it would be hoped that council would provide, what kind of direction you would like us to pursue and what kind of funding envelope that we could make available to support the committee. It's got legs, but we would be seeking some information from council to see how big and how you would like to move this forward. Because through the chair, as I was in discussion with Councillor Sim, it's noted that there are limitations to what we can do, and I'm mindful of the staff capacity and the expertise. We don't have the expertise in house. No. So we would certainly be looking out externally to try and find appropriate resources and expertise, because we simply don't have it in house. Thank you.
And repeating what Councillor Sim said, there we do have that 3-year study for front door to grocery store that I know it's aged, but I think there's still a lot of good information in there. So I think we need to continue to follow that, because we have been following it, I think.
Yes, we have. We have.
Yeah.
And then, if I may, I've just got one more clarifying question about the terms of reference. Under item 3, composition, as required by section 142 of the community charter, at least one member of the committee must be a council member. The appointed member of council will act as the chair of the committee. Moving over to committee governance and operations, each year the chairperson will select an alternate chairperson at the committee's meeting. I don't know if we've been following this.
Councillor Sim, through to the chair. Following this in what regards? This is new.
The appointed member of council will act as the chair of the committee.
Sorry, and Councillor Sim, this is new to this draft terms of reference.
Okay.
This hasn't necessarily been in previous committees.
Right. So that's the plan to move forward, is that there would be and I just want to know, because if we're going to have this new committee, then we're going to need a new chairperson, and then so that's going to really change how those meetings have been structured.
Councillor Sim, through the chair, you are correct in that
Okay.
this is to ensure that it's following council's vision,
Great.
streamlined, following that path forward, and to sort of provide that leadership role and direction for the IDEA committee.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anything further? So there's a recommendation on the table. Would any like to move it? Councillor Matheson.
Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility Advisory Committee presented this council dissolved Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Working Group, and approved staff to write a letter of appreciation for their participation, and the council through staff to post an expression of interest to invite community members to apply for participation in the Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility Advisory Committee. And the council further approves staff to gather and review the expressions of interest and present a list of potential committee members, including current DEI working group members that wish to participate. Council for review and final selection at a subsequent council meeting.
Seconder for that. Councillor Bratton. All those in favor?
Discussion?
Oh, sorry, discussion. Sorry, Councillor Sim.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly going to vote in favor of this, and I do just want to stress that I think that the group has done some tremendous
They
things,
have.
and I have really, really, really appreciated the lens on a lot of the press releases and the news releases, and it's expanded an awareness of the district, and I think that it is thanks to the commitment of the committee members, and certainly to our staff member, Aquaria, and yourself, that there's been a slow movement of the dial, and I hope that that's expressed in that letter, is that I felt that there was movement.
Thank you, Councillor Sim, through the chair. I fully agree, and I don't think this is a door closing. I think it's just a new one opening.
Oh, nicely said.
All those in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to 11.5, staff report on North Thompson Sportsplex Capital Roofing Project.
Is it? I don't think so.
11.5. So is there someone to speak to this?
Yeah, I can. Roger asked me to
Oh, okay.
speak for me. It's purely an administration thing. He neglected to put the total price in the resolution the first time.
Okay, oh, okay. So it's just adding it to the resolution, the price of it. Okay, so someone would like to move the recommendation?
So moved.
Councillor Sim, second, Councillor McKenzie. Discussion? All those in favor? It's carried. All right, so moving on, there's no mayor's report, councillor reports. I'm going to start with Councillor Sim. I am.
Great. I just wanted, I had the opportunity to attend the local health planning table, and it was really great that our CAO could attend along with our mayor. Some of the issues that we discussed was the recruitment challenges that the hospital faces. Namely, that there seems to be an issue with IH itself in being able to quickly respond to some of those recruitment opportunities. And there's going to be a look to how on a local level we can maybe do a summary of all of the vacancies and just maybe streamline it so it's not going to, you know, the call center, I'm going to call it, is it can be a lot more focused there, but it is something to look at. Also the data, we've got 1,800 people within the district of Clearwater and our area that are not attached to a family physician. The funding envelope that we've been tentatively approved by the Ministry of Health is to have 2.5 physicians join us and possibly 4 allied health. So there's going to be some work going on there. It does mean having a community lens on what's health care going to look like. Where are we going to put these new people? Like, where's the space? What's the vision? Is it something to be looking at some previous plans that have been done about space and reimagining our community? Also had the opportunity today to work with, to meet with Dina Pidcock, and she is the new Community Futures liaison here. She's been doing a fantastic job reaching out to a number of the local businesses and community organizations, and is looking forward to potentially meeting with council and just presenting some of her findings. She's gone through all of our reports that we've got on file, the Community Economic Development Plan, and also the SFU plan, which was great. I'm really pleased to see a number of people taking advantage of the flu shot. In the newsletter that the district did, I thought it was tremendous. So thank you very much for putting that together and allowing that to happen. Number of Christmas markets, the Christmas market at the Ski Hill, which was great, the food bank, which was really good, Santa coming on the weekend. But the big one I'd like to draw council's attention to is the winter solstice that's being put on December 21st. And I think it would be very, very meaningful if people could maybe put that in their calendar and if schedules allowed to be able to participate in that. Georgina and the children have done a really good job, and they're just hoping to have that engagement from us, and I think it's just part of our path to reconciliation.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, I'll be attending that December 21st one. So
Great, thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Moving on to Councillor Matheson.
Fairly busy for the last little bit. First off, I'd kind of like to acknowledge the fatalities that happened at the recent MVI just south of Littleport. And again, it drives home the fact that our highways, we need to be constantly pushing for more safety, better enforcement across the board. And, you know, this affects locals in our community on a very personal level, as they were parents of the person. And there was also another accident up on the Mesner Summit today where a snowplow was taken out by a semi-trailer. And so they're down one snowplow, which compounds the problem. So yeah, it's one of those things I think that we really need as a council to continue pushing forward and working with our partners in the valley to try and get some change made. One of my big concerns, of course, is when the highway's blocked and the Dunlake Road is plugged up, we have no access to medical facilities, backup fire engines are not available. I mean, there's all sorts of complications and issues that arise from that. I would like to see one of my things I will be pursuing is signage on the Dunn Lake Road about the fact that it is not a road that is for semi-trailers. And the disaster that happened up there, they closed down the entire night, pulling people out of ditches and causing all sorts of delays for a lot of people. So I think that needs to be something that needs to be addressed. People go onto their GPS and automatically head straight to that road, and it's just not a viable option. Secondly, I was at the
Councillor
food bank.
Matheson? I'm just wondering, because I think that has gotten to a level of severity, and I know that Mayor Blackwell and Mayor Stamer from Barrier have done a good job on this. Are you thinking that it's time for council to actually write a formal letter to the minister?
Totally. I agree. You know, we've been pushing and meeting with them. I think another formal letter would be appropriate. I think we can, I don't know what has to be done for signage for Dunn Lake Road. I imagine there's a lot of bureaucracy we have to go through. I do know that we have a portion of on the district property, maybe somebody can speak to that, about putting up applicable signage that would slow traffic onto that area.
So one of the things that we haven't had for a while, and maybe Mr. Thackeray, you've got some thoughts on, is it time to have, a member of a Ministry of Transportation attend a council meeting and do a bit of an update, or to have that? We haven't had that for a while, and maybe this is an opportunity.
I think that's an excellent, through the chair, I think that's an excellent comment. I also would recommend, as we've discussed in putting together an advocacy framework, I think some meetings in Victoria or Vancouver, wherever the appropriate minister is. As you know, there's an election coming. There's rumors flying around about a $4 billion bucket of money and infrastructure money that the government is touting. Don't quote that, but I thought I'd just say it in the public domain anyway. But my sources tell me there is money that likely will be announced because it's an election year, I think. And once that election is done, then I think that whatever government gets in power is going to look at the books and go, no matter federal, provincial, because they're going to have to do something. And they're going to be very specific, and they'll guarantee they'll download. So anything we can get hammered, bang the table now, I think is really valuable. Thank you.
So in follow-up to Councillor Matheson, one of the things that I've been wondering about is, and you don't want to compare the number of fatalities and accidents, but it does almost ask the question, is Highway 1 different from our Highway 5 corridor? And is it different because that there's more passing lanes? And, what's the expenditure of investment by our provincial government into our highways? And how do we get those answers with the advocacy plan? So I would like to support Councillor Matheson in moving forward on that. What would be your suggestions, Mr. Thackeray, about next steps? Because it is an important issue and it does need a
can't sit
timely
and
response.
I would certainly recommend a letter to the minister, inviting the minister to come meet with council in public, in a public forum. I would also recommend asking the minister for a face-to-face meeting, but it's always nice if the MLA and the minister can come to town and talk about it, regardless of which political party they lead to. It's an important issue when people get killed, and as other highways have had similar problems in BC, it does take advocacy to get some attention to it. And I know, for example, my brother-in-law worked as an ambulance attendant on the Malahat north of Victoria, and that was a notorious stretch of road before they finally did something.
Yeah.
And they basically, it's two-way divided highway. It works, and there's some stretches here that I think would probably, I'm not an expert, but I'm sure there's some stretches that would tick the box. And would need, at the very least, some way to protect the drivers. Thank you.
So, Councillor Matheson, would you consider making a motion to write a letter to the minister, and also maybe to direct staff to bring in the what would they be? Who would be MOTI? District manager?
Oh, Fleming, not Fleming.
No, not the minister, but the manager of district of local regional manager. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that staff, direct staff to write a letter to the Ministry of Highways, and also invite information or an information session with the local regional manager concerning Highway 5 safety.
Second for that?
I'll second that.
Would it benefit to have
Discussion?
the MLA there? No. Yes.
Yeah, it would.
Yes, I would. I know the minister isn't going to drop everything and come and visit, but certainly the MLA and whoever the regional director will be, their MOT will have a regional executive position that will be responsible for this area. That's one of the key decision makers that will influence decisions, because that will go to the ADM, and that's some of it will move that way. Thank you.
Mr. Prime?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Frizzle. Would council be amenable to bring this back as a notice of motion for this next week's special council meeting, just to have this resolution properly wordsmithed so it can reflect well in the letter?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What-
and if I could, I'd also like to maybe encourage the inclusion of MLA Millibar and also MLA Stone, given that, just to make him alert to this area as well.
Do you agree to that in your motion?
I do.
All right, so all those in favor? Carried. Okay,
I get to finish up. So, yeah, I was at the food bank concert, and unfortunately, because of the weather, the attendance was low, but they still brought in close to $9,000
oh, good for them.
and did really well. It was about 60% of normal people that were there. A lot of Barrier and Kamloops people were missing because of the accident. I presented a check on behalf of the District of Clearwater for the resolution we had to the board at that same meeting. And the Cramton Cruiser brought in about $1,000 in cash and 950-ish pounds of food. So they had a good go round on that evening. I attended the Rotary Light Up for the Rotary Club, and I'm blown away by how many young families are in this town. The kids were lined up about 50 deep, I think. And a lot of people sitting there with a lot of the old timers in town, and they're looking around going, we don't know anybody. So there's a lot of new faces in our town. I found it really interesting. Lastly, the walk and talk video that was done in response to the hospital's request. I was stopped by numerous people around town saying how much they appreciated it. And at the food bank, there were a lot of people commented as well as the letter to the editor. So it was well received, and hopefully it's made a difference. I know the administration of the hospital was very grateful for the stand we took on that. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McKenzie.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Frizzle. November 28th, I attended our council workshop here, so I just want to thank staff for putting that day together for us. On Sunday, attended the Christmas tree light up for Rotary at the Info Center, and despite having lower attendance in previous years, probably due to weather, road conditions, etc., the spirit was still there, no doubt. It's really nice to see. Much like our Halloween fireworks, this event's one that parents and children alike look forward to every year. So I'd like to thank the Rotary Club, Clearwater Volunteer Fire Department, and the big guy himself for keeping this tradition going in the community. It's
Excellent.
yeah, the kids love it. It's great. I'd also like to congratulate Roland Neve for his Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Tour Association. Over 50 years of
Yeah.
putting his time in for the park and whatnot. So just want to congratulate him for that. And lastly, I'd just like to remind everyone that a road maintenance contract has changed hands. So please reach out to Mayor and Council, district staff, come into the office, and we could set you up with the right numbers for any inquiries, complaints, boundary information, anything of the above. So just a note.
Yes.
And that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor McKenzie. Councillor Bratton.
Good afternoon, Acting Mayor Frizzle. I got it. I wasn't super busy council-wise, but December is a very busy month, and I just like to take a moment to say, everybody, look out for your neighbors and check in on everybody, and enjoy the holiday season if you can. Some can't, so just make sure you're saying hi and how can we help. And on the highway situation, I was one of the ones stuck on Dunlake Road, and I'm curious,
Yeah, I think it's,
asking a few questions about, I know we have levels of priority, and I'm actually kind of wondering, in an emergency situation,
I think it goes
when
directly to
a highway
Kelly's
is
fault.
shut down, and I know it's totally not, expected, do our levels of priority change? Especially when it looks like it's going to be a prolonged closure, that you would then go to your secondary source and make sure it's looked after.
Right. Yeah.
Just
And
the
it's on
thing
our
I'd like
website.
to
It's on our-
propose that we maybe look at for emergency situations, because as we were stuck out there and I'm parked right beside our DOC sign, there was no sand. He was on his way, of course. This was several hours after maybe, things may have been rectified. So, and it's no shade to the contractor, brand new. Weather was not in anybody's favor, and nobody expected that many people to be stuck on that road. So, but we can learn from these situations, and I'm hoping that possibly that we could come up with another plan when emergency situations arise. And that's all I have for that.
Councillor Sim?
I just think, again, the motion that Councillor Matheson has made about getting the regional manager in, I think that there's a lot of merit to who's permitted on the Dunn Lake Road in case of diversion. And is it a road that we want to have transport trucks? It just compounds some issues, but I think that that's a conversation about egress and emergency options. And if anybody had needed an ambulance, how would that have worked? So I do feel that there is a strategy in place. So I appreciate that this is a great opportunity to learn from that.
There's other aspects to that. Not just semi-traffic. I had to phone the police as we were on the road because we'd heard reports that 2 semis were trying to come up. I didn't want to be round because everybody was stuck in probably a 50-car lineup. So just to shut Chichewa End down, and then also shut Clearwater down. Now, in the lineup, we had a really nice fellow parked behind us who's fresh off the airplane from Singapore, and he was having a heck of a time trying to understand us. So, which goes to show you, Mr. Google isn't very accurate in an emergency situation.
No.
And this he did really fantastic. But the majority of everybody in that lineup, I will say, was from Belmont to Little Fort area, and they were well equipped, quite a few of them. It's the odd soul that gets out there that doesn't understand how to drive a back road, and then they get a foul up in the center. So something I will say, and this is actually very commendable, how people pull together in an emergency situation. We were in quite a long lineup on the Dunn Lake side, no sand anywhere, but there was in the side hills. So some people had shovels. They were digging out and trying to help each other out. No emergency vehicle could have got through there. It's too skinny. So it was pretty neat to see how everybody pulls together, even though it was very not a fun situation. And there was people from Belmont behind me, and they're like, yeah, we'll go help the next person. So anyways, there were some positives out of it, and how people pull together. Wouldn't want to be stuck in that situation again without a proper vehicle. That is, some of those people might have been fairly scared. So if we can work on highway advocacy to get our safety on board, that would be good. And also come up with an emergency situation plan on the local level so that we have some where to turn, a different plan in place. That was a lot, sorry.
Mr. Carmichael?
Hi, Acting Mayor. I spoke with Black River just before the council meeting. He said he has reached out to Argo and Modi and the RCMP, just trying to have a plan like for Dunn Lake Road when the highway is closed down.
That's excellent.
Just a communication plan, really.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I had something else and I lost it. It's all good.
Are you good? Okay.
Oh, I know.
Okay,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Skating carnival's coming up December 3rd. Oh, the 22nd. Thank you. 22nd. Our dress rehearsal's on the 13th. That's what was in my head. So.
Now say the last date again, because it's the correct date.
The 22nd of December.
There we go. Okay. That seems late.
14th.
The 14th. Yes, 14th.
Okay, so the carnival is December 14th.
Yes, thank you. The last day of school is the 22nd. That's what you're thinking of.
The 14th is the carnival. You keep saying dates. Okay, I just wanted to add Councillor McKenzie reported on Roland Neves Lifetime Achievement Award. He's also, again, this year going to be sponsoring rangers and naturalists in the park in the summer, and also going to be sponsoring some new signage up there on Green Mountain, interpretive signing on Green Mountain and Hamilton Falls. And just so people are aware, Hamilton Falls viewing point will be shut down probably in May and June because they're going to be putting up a new May and June. They are obligated to have it up for the long weekend in July. That they are obligated. So that is their plan for this year, and then in 2025 they'll be working on the Spahats viewing platform. So just a heads up. So moving on to new business on the 2024 proposed council schedule. Who's going to speak to this first?
Thank you, Acting Mayor
Prime.
Frizzle. Yes, I will speak on this. The schedule proposed reflects what the council procedure bylaw calls for. Mostly, there are some changes in December as well as January, just to shift for closures due to the sort of holiday break right at the end of the year, as well as one change in September for UBCM. Those are the changes sort of to the extent of I've proposed that are not flowing with the council procedure bylaw. However, this is a decision of council for the schedule. There are a few supplemental materials not in the agenda that have been passed around regarding court dates, as well as some discussion from Councillor Sim.
Thank you, Mr. Prime. So, is there discussion on this? It is what you're looking for. You got it?
And just for Councillor Sim's benefit, the courts traditionally meets on the fourth Tuesday.
Okay. So, any further questions on that? Councillor Broughton?
I just would like to ask which the first proposed schedule of the schedule, does it work the best for staff?
Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Councillor Breton, through the chair. As far as staff are concerned, it is fine. Primarily, the work is done the week before. Friday, the agendas go out. There's not a lot done on Monday or the Tuesday morning. So the schedule sort of, it has been done like that for quite a few years. I think as far as our staff reporting changes, that's sort of different in terms of being more forward looking on it. But the schedule as proposed is, I don't see any issues from the staff perspective unless.
Councillor Sim?
Yeah, I'm going to say that the March schedule I'd like to see revised. I just don't see it working with spring break. We've got 2 meetings in there for spring break, as well as one that just follows after Easter Monday. So if I can draw your attention to the sheet that I think Mr. Prime kindly printed off, March 17th to April 2nd is typically off for schools.
So is the spring break this year a 2-week spring break?
It is, yeah.
So is this the first one in a while?
Nope, we've had spring break for 2 years now.
See,
But it's the problem is that it's legislated differently, and it's always the first Monday after the second Tuesday. So last year when we had our spring break, it was in March, and then Easter came in April. This year, it's all being tied together. So what I see as a possible conflict is that spring break is starting March the 17th, and then it collides with Good Friday, and then Easter Monday, and we would have a proposed council meeting on the Tuesday. So the 29th, which is Good Friday, it would be some tension for getting that agenda out. I also wonder what that means for, people attending. in years past, we have not had meetings during spring break. We've only had one during March. That brings me that if we were only to have one in March, my concern over the proposed agenda is that if we only have one meeting in July, August, and September, that's long stretches of time, especially moving into the budget. I would like to see 2 meetings in September for sure.
I was looking at that myself too, and I was saying that if we did do the one, because we could do 2 in September for sure, but if we just did the one in September because of UBCM, we should have 2 in August.
And I just don't know if that's fair for staff or council. I am,
The only reason that I went that way is because we had a bunch of meetings this last summer.
and I didn't like it at all.
There you go.
Well, and I also think it's really important that we acknowledge the fact that summer is a time when some of our staff, one thing that I did recognize is when we did have meetings in July, is that key staff members were not there. And that is something I'm hoping to mitigate this year. If we are looking towards a healthy, stable organization, one of the things we can be looking at is how do our meetings flow into the work of the district? And I don't see workflow in August being helpful.
Fair enough. Anybody else?
I think Mr. Thackeray.
From just a practical perspective for September, I think it would make sense to do a meeting on the 10th, or you do a special meeting. But I think the 10th is not an unrealistic expectation, because then there's UBCM and then there's court. So the 10th works. And
So
it's
you're
not
saying you're saying the 3rd and the 10th?
Yeah.
Yeah,
2 for
Thank you.
September.
back-to-back ones.
So where is September 24th?
Go ahead,
I
Councillor.
am going to ask about these court services dates, and I am wondering is if that is still working for the District of Clearwater.
I get it's a long-standing practice through the chair. It's once a month. Is it ideal? No. Is it important to have the service in the community? It has merit. Is the configuration of the building ideal? No, it's not, because we get our operation and their operation kind of lapping a bit, and it's I don't think it's great for everybody, but it's something that the district has put up with. It's certainly something I'm mindful of, and would not be opposed to any support in changing our office configuration, but some investment and some money. Thank you.
So supplemental to that, I'm just wondering why their schedule gets priority over council schedule.
I don't know the history on that. I'm sorry.
I don't either, but I'm just curious why they get priority. Like, it's our room, we lend it to them, and they pay, granted, but
It's a revenue stream.
it is a revenue stream. I understand that. However, the work of the district needs to be functioning. Does anybody have any information on that? On how, can they not amend their schedule?
I can speak to that a little bit.
Mr. Prime,
The
just
schedule for-
1 sec. Mr. Prime has something.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Frizzle. So for some context, this schedule was released about a month ago, and there wasn't any consultation done with district staff when they put this out. There was some dates in June that aligned with sort of one of the anticipated court council dates. I did sort of reply to them and saying that, oh, sorry, that date isn't available. There was quite a bit of heavy pushback on that, trying to get council to move. I said, I'm sorry, but this is in line with our council procedure bylaw. It must be on this date. The trouble they have is in lining up all the lawyers for different dates for these council meetings, as well as judges. They do struggle to herd a lot of busy schedules into these council court dates. So having said that, I did send them what our dates theoretically should look like according to the council procedure bylaw. That's about as far as, ultimately we do have discretion on it, but it's just sort of a give and take relationship at this stage, I believe. They did cancel that date in June 4th, but they weren't happy about it.
Councillor Matheson.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. With the court systems, they set those dates sometimes 1 and 2 years in advance. for prosecutors, for judges' availability. The accused also have dates given to them, and it is really difficult, disheartening, and sometimes cruel to play around with that schedule. So they need that stability, that long-term planning.
Thank you for that. Councillor Sim?
Yeah, so back to this, I think that we do need to look at, how we work as the function. I am uncomfortable with having too many special meetings. I find it difficult for a work schedule. I find it difficult to, juggle a lot of things, and I think it makes some assumptions that everybody is available. Like, for example, the special meeting for next week, I didn't know about that. So those are awkward. I prefer a functioning calendar that allows us to have a flow acknowledging historical work and a future vision forward. So with that in mind, if we move forward with the 16th and the 30th, that's 5 weeks between meetings that we will have for December. We do have that budget coming down. Now, if staff is comfortable having Family Day long weekend on February the 19th and then coming in, and it is a council day on the 20th, that's fine. The proposal is to do it on the 27th, which I don't see has a conflict with. I'm on February.
Oh, February.
I can only work off my printed calendar because there's
Yeah,
other.
no, that's fine.
Yeah. March, I'd be interested in how council feels about the 2 meetings or just 1 meeting and just acknowledging spring break and the Easter.
Councillor Brad?
In March, what's with budget? That's the end of a season, or start of a season?
The budget it has to be adopted before the tax bylaw is adopted in May.
Oh, okay.
That's when the
Thinking
financial
Minister
plan
Forrest.
bylaw has to go forward. Go ahead.
Is that we would, we're waiting for BC Assessment to get their numbers to us too. So we're kind of working between
Okay.
both of those deadlines.
So if Councillor Sim's idea with March, that would work for staff or no?
I'm not sure if we landed on the dates or not. What are the dates for March?
She has the 12th, I think. That's yours. Yeah.
For a council meeting.
Proposed for a council meeting. If we only
one?
had the one in March.
No.
No.
Should have
5th
to.
and the 19th.
We should
Should
have
have
two.
2, yeah. So the problem with this is that the spring break starts on the 19th or the
It starts on
18th.
it starts on the 17th,
Yeah,
and I
starts on the
acknowledge
17th.
Councillor, Mackenzie, I acknowledge Mr. Prime, I acknowledge
Yeah, no.
Councillor Bratton.
No, I understand why you're doing it.
So what is it that because again, historically, we have only been able to do 1 meeting in March. So we're changing things. And so I'd be interested from staff what's important for that. And as if it's just budget meetings and then we have it. So if budget meetings and workshops outside of that, what are the thoughts there?
I think whatever council wishes to do, my only advice would be to be consistent and in terms of what the public expects for council and what public meetings that you have, because whatever you do when you change it around, the public can push back sometimes and saying, gee, first and third, now it's the second or the third or the fourth or whatever, and that's okay. We'll work around your schedules as best we can, but certainly for the only pressure it can bring sometimes if there's 1 meeting in March, then you might have to double up on a meeting in April. If there's a crunch because of just the assessment, the financial statements, the financial plan bylaws, the tax bylaw, everything kind of comes to a head in April because it has to be all done by that first week or so in May. But it's entirely up to you.
So
We're happy to work around your schedule.
How does it work? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Carry on.
No, this is an attempt to try and work around the schedules. We know there are other right answers and we're totally fine with that. We tried to identify those things, and if we can support council, if March is an issue with trying to get council together, we understand that, and well, certainly we can change the date if you wish to the week before the 19th, if that's the if there's a conflict there that last half of March. Thank you.
I guess my question would be, how difficult is, like, if we decide to do back-to-back meetings, we're already doing it once, but like if we did it on the 5th and the 12th, for example, how hard is that?
If we know ahead of time, we can plan ahead, and knowing now helps. It's not, so having the off week, it definitely helps. But if it's known well in advance that there is a back-to-back week and there's one or two, okay, we can deal with that. If that was a normal occurrence, then we would probably take a look at the rest of our schedule.
Go ahead, Councillor Sim.
So with that in mind, given the fact that this is the work of the budget, and I know that the original schedule that staff had brought forward was to have a meeting on January the 2nd. I do know that that is still within the school break as well. Is that January 2nd? Because the kids aren't back to school until the 8th this year. It's a later one. That is an option to do a January 2nd meeting. So you've got the 2nd, 16th, and 30th. So that would allow some of those budget questions to be addressed. That then puts us into the original schedule of the 16th and the 20th for February, as proposed by staff. And then March, we could look at just doing the meeting of the 5th, as proposed by staff.
Can I correct just one?
Go ahead,
Did you mean the
Councillor.
6th or the 16th?
Yeah, 6th. She means the 6th.
For what?
February.
Yep, I do, thanks.
Okay.
So follow it. I just feel that we've got where we've got a collision is in the March.
Go ahead, Mr. Prime.
And Councillor Sim, through the chair, I'm uncertain in where January 2nd came back in on this. That one's not particularly feasible as of the office is closed throughout the holidays.
Oh, all right. Well, then that's not even an option. We'll take that off. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Matheson.
No problem. I'm kind of against messing with the whole thing. I mean, we all have busy lives. We all have different schedules we're under. There's some dates in here that I can't make. I'm not asking for changes around. If I can, I'll connect by modern technology, call in, be on Zoom. Yeah, I just don't see the purpose in switching things all around and messing with the whole schedule that we have here as it is presented right now.
I just want to respond to that. This was just a suggestion noting the statutory holidays. It's not intended to mess. It was intended to ask staff for their input in terms of the workload that came after the statutory. It was only a suggestion, certainly not to mess with anything, just for consideration.
Okay, I just feel that we're spending time here that we shouldn't be on this. It's just, I think I talked to staff about it last week, and they said that there was not a big issue with it.
Okay, so you talked to staff last week. The council's talking about it now, and this is where the table where we make the decision and finally land on it. So what you talked to staff with last week wasn't necessarily at the council table where we're making the votes. I just want to, just look at the fact that what we've been struggling with is some of the staff capacity, and the question is only being raised is if it works, great, and here was an alternative. But what people are landing on looks good. So that sounds like a very productive conversation for the calendar.
So what I'm seeing here with what you've got, you're proposing to change to 2nd and 4th Tuesday?
Except it's not working from what Mr. Prima has said with the court dates, which is not something that was originally on.
No,
it
doesn't.
So that wasn't. So it seems to me that the only dates to look at, and I noticed that Councillor McKenzie, you're wanting to say something.
Yeah, no, it's just historically, like last term, anyways, for me, historically. Not really. I thought it was March, July, August, December, only one. Spring break, summer holidays, Christmas break. So this is, I think, in the past, last term, we'd only ever had one in March. So just my 2 cents about that. Based on staff, children of staff, children of anyone around here, etc.
So you're saying last year we only did the one meeting in March. Is that what you're saying?
I'm pretty sure the last 4 years for March. just the holidays based around school time off.
Yeah.
Is the way I recall it. So yeah, seeing 2 here was just
Councillor Bratton?
threw me off.
So would it suffice if we did the 1 in March and then did 3 in April? Does that work?
Could do. Would that work?
So 2nd, 16th, and 30th?
Seconds,
I'm
yeah.
not sure if the second
three
works, because you
Tuesday.
said, but if it works, great.
Yeah,
I don't
in
know what to
April?
propose in April,
Except for the 30th, is that,
LGLA, but
no, it's not. For the 30th, that's Silga. And that has been something that people have attended to. So that is why it was not considered there.
Okay. The only other option would be a back-to-back week, but
Back to back in March.
Well, or call a special council meeting for budget
Yeah, and we've done that.
and just have the one meeting.
Okay, Mr. Thackeray?
I was just going to suggest that the through the chair, and that yes, you can add or change things as you wish ahead of time in the schedule. I would also recommend that council puts a motion on the floor to debate the issue, because it's just a point of order.
Oh, I like
Oh.
that.
Well. So put this one on or another one on?
So I will make a motion
Okay.
for debate. So motion to accept the calendar as presented by staff with 2 amendments. To offer 1 meeting in March for March 12th, and to add a meeting in September for the 3rd and 10th.
And 10th. Any other changes? No?
No, this was just
We-
brought.
Sorry. My apologies. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You didn't what? Sorry.
Didn't mean to cut off Councillor
Oh,
Sam.
no,
Sorry.
go ahead.
If that was the motion, we just needed a seconder was all.
Yeah, I just
No,
wanted to.
she just wanted to make sure. I mean, it's a full color spread, and there's only 2 changes in the motion, so she was confused.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second
Councillor
those.
McKenzie. Further discussion?
I have one question. Was there a question about December or January 2nd?
We can't. The office is closed.
The office
No,
is,
but was there already a meeting planned?
No.
Okay.
no, it's on this, in the new proposed one. It's the 16th and the 30th. There will be a meeting in
gotcha.
January.
Oh, that's what these colors are.
No, if you look at the one originally from staff,
Look at the staff report.
which is page 74 of your report.
Okay. I just
Okay.
double checking.
Okay,
Making sure
no,
you got
that's
all
good.
your motions in there.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So moving on to 16.2, the financial update.
Oh, counts.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Prime.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Frizzle. There's 2 other recommendations
Oh.
as part of that.
That's right. So you want recommendation that council approves the appointment of the acting mayor in
Correct.
accordance with section 130 of the community charter, with appointments rotating as presented herein, and that the councillor appointed as acting mayor for any given month shall also serve as the chairperson for the committee of the whole during the corresponding period. Could I have a mover for that? Councillor Matheson, seconder. Councillor Bratton, discussion? All those in favor?
I'm going to vote against it.
Just for good measure.
Well, I'm not in favor of it, so yeah.
Okay, well, you want that recorded, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to 16.2, the financial update to September 30th. Ms. Clausen. I'm getting lost.
I have provided to council, mayor and acting acting mayor and council a amended Schedule A. The amendment is the funding is included for the additional expenditure for capital. We have a presentation, this is a short one, to go with the quarter Q3 or year-to-date September 30th financial update. Let's just move through to a few slides. Just some of the objectives of the financial update is to provide council with just a report that aligns with the budget bylaw that we are trying to put together for 2024 to 2028. Encourages some accountability, it provides some financial transparency, and it reduces occurrences of unexpected results at the end of the year. The next slide, please. So the next slide is our revenues. The categories are on your left there. The financial plan is the next in the red circle in the middle is your financial plan and the proposed amendments and your adjusted financial plan. The year-to-date actuals are there, and what we would expect to see at Q3, at the end of Q3, would be 75% of actuals if everything was equal for every month. However, taxation has already been booked, parcel taxes have been booked, and services to other governments are booked. And what we are watching there, quite interestingly enough, is sales of service. So that is our day-to-day sales, utilities, water and sewer, and of course septic. We're watching there to ensure that, or trying to see where we're going to line up this year with our financial plan. So some of the highlights are the septage receiving is currently at 71%, so we're falling a little bit behind as what we anticipated.
So with Q3, this is to the end of which month? It is till the end of September.
Yeah.
Okay, so 71%.
It should have been 75.
Okay, so it's not far.
Not far. However, this is our first year in a while without
Yeah.
the TMX impact, so we're watching that, how it goes.
Just another question on that, if I may, is where were we for the septic receiving for the first and second quarter? Just to watch where the decline is.
Yeah, as of June, we were at 50%. So we are tracking like we thought, not far off, but I don't expect we're going to hit 100%.
Okay.
Just because it's tailing off, right? So we were tracking about the same.
Should we put a sale on septic receiving right now?
No,
No.
It's just understanding who your customers are.
Yeah.
Right, and with TMX leaving the community, it's showing. We had government transfers includes the Growing Communities Infrastructure Grant of $1.5 million and the Small Communities Grant of $447,000. And government grants also include the Wayfinding Grant, the Flood Mapping Grant, and UBCM CEPF grant for $15,000. Next slide, please. For our expenditures, the one amendment I have there is for the capital expenditures. And that includes the generators, additional expenditures for the generators. This slide represents, again, we should be seeing about 75% of the budget target there, and a lot of our expenses are quite a bit lower than that. The one that is right at 100% is our debt payments, or pretty close to 100% is debt payments and interest payments. And next slide, please. This is council contingency. Again, this is as of September 30th. We have a healthy remainder of council contingency of $41,600. Our contingency for the council contingency is a high number for the size of community.
Do you want the history?
Councillor Bratton?
Why is it? I thought we were empty.
Oh, no.
No.
We had a few resolutions there that we are using. And also, I think post September 30th, we have one more resolution to be added to that.
Okay.
And finally, our projects. We have 49 projects. We have a few that have not been started. We have 12 that are on schedule, 15 that we're carrying forward, 11 that are complete, and 4 that are canceled. Some of the major projects that we have, the bush truck will be complete by the end of the year. The parks vehicle was purchased. The Public Works yard expansion has been complete. The rubblization of the Candle Creek Road. The generators, air conditioners, and air handlers have all been ordered and will be completed in 2024. The Clearwater River Trail and 37 East Park will be completed in 2024. And of course, our annual computer replacement has been complete. In our special projects, the strat plan, very soon to be completed. The desludging of Cell 2 mostly will occur in 2024. We only got started on that project. And the ARO, our Asset Retirement Obligation Report, has been complete. Is there any questions on specific projects that council would be interested in?
Anyone?
Yep. Please.
Oh, Councillor McKenzie?
Just to clarify, Ms. Clausen, you said generators 2024. That is DOC well generators we are
Yes.
referring to? Okay, I just wanted to clarify because we had paperwork saying June of 25, and that scared me a little bit. So I just wanted to double check on what our actual timeline was for those generators.
Yeah, it's expected for 24.
Okay, perfect, thank you. I feel a little better about that now, thanks.
Good question.
Any further questions? Councillor Sem?
Just going back to the revenue only being at 71% for the septic receiving, it looks like according to budget we would be expecting another $500,000. What is your sort of anticipation that we might meet? Like, are we going to be $250,000 short on that? What would be the number? Or are you just going to wait and see? Because you may not, like crystal balls aren't on sale.
Yeah, it's a little bit of those. We still will get quite a bit of that. That septic receiving is only a small part of it.
It's not the whole amount.
The
Okay.
utilities we're still collecting for, and the water and the sewer, we still
Okay.
will be collecting for that. And the NTSP revenues will still be collecting for those. The
Okay,
rec
so
program
that
will
$500,000 is quite a large basket. Okay,
It-
thank you
it's
for
the
the
list.
clarification.
25-30. The ICBC revenue,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay,
That's all I got.
that's all you have? Any further questions? No. Okay. Moving on to bylaws.
Do we have to accept that?
No.
Info.
So, moving on to, there's a recommendation that bylaw 287-2023 Joint Services Committee repeal bylaw be adopted. I have a motion or someone to move that recommendation?
Which number are we on?
We are on 17.1. Thank you,
The
Councillor
recommendation.
Sim. Seconder for that? Councillor McKenzie?
Sorry,
Okay.
there.
District of Clearwater bylaw number 287, 2023, a bylaw to repeal bylaw 104, 2013, Thompson Nicola Regional District Joint Services Committee. Whereas the Thompson Nicola Regional District dissolved the Joint Services Committee and repealed Thompson Nicola Regional District bylaw number 2430, Thompson Nicola Regional District and District of Clearwater Joint Services Committee. And whereas the Council of the District of Clearwater wishes to repeal the corresponding District of Clearwater bylaw 104, 2013 and amending bylaws. Now therefore the Council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembled enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as bylaw 287, 2023 Joint Services Committee repeal bylaw. All those in favor? Thank you. Councillor Bratton, you're looking puzzled.
No, I'm good. It's an empty look.
All right, moving on to water and sewer user fees bylaw.
I'll move the recommendation.
Second that.
So that's District of Clearwater bylaw number 288, 2023, a bylaw to impose water user fees for 2024. Whereas Section 1941 of the Community Charter allows council by bylaw to impose fees payable in respect of funding the water services. Now therefore the Council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembled enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as District of Clearwater water user fees for 2024 bylaw number 288, 2023. All those in favor?
Can I ask a question? Mm-hmm. There was 4 recommendations there. Which one were
You're
we?
doing the recommendation for the water user
Yes.
fees? Now we're moving on to the sewer user fees.
But the
Oh,
recommendation.
sorry, something's wrong. Go ahead, one of you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I missed that part. That's what you were saying?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
For that.
I was trying to get through this faster than.
That's okay. There was recommendation to be introduced, to be read.
First and, that was
First
mine.
and second,
Yeah.
thank
Okay.
you. So the next.
Recommendation 2.
That the District of Clearwater user fees bylaw 288, 2023 be read a third time.
Moved.
Councillor McKenzie, second of Councillor Bratton. District of Clearwater bylaw number 288, 2023, a bylaw to impose water user fees for 2024. Whereas Section 1941 of the Community Charter allows council by bylaw to impose fees payable in respect of funding the water services. Now therefore the Council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembled enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as District of Clearwater water user fees for 2024, bylaw number 288, 2023. All those in favor? Moving on to the District of Clearwater sewer user fees bylaw 289
So moved.
for first and
Recommendation.
second reading.
Yeah, first and second, thank you.
Seconder,
Second.
Councillor McKenzie. District of Clearwater bylaw number 289, 2023, a bylaw to impose sewer user fees for 2024. Whereas Section 1941 of the Community Charter allows council by bylaw to impose fees payable in respect of funding the sewer services. Now therefore the Council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembled enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as District of Clearwater sewer user fees for 2024, bylaw number 289, 2023. All those in favor? Carried. We have a second recommendation for a third time.
So moved.
Councillor McKenzie. Seconder, Councillor Bratton. District of Clearwater, bylaw number 289, 2023, a bylaw to impose sewer user fees for 2024. Whereas Section 1941 of the Community Charter allows council by bylaw to impose fees payable in respect of funding the sewer services. Now therefore the Council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembled enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as District of Clearwater sewer user fees for 2024, bylaw number 289, 2023. All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to amendment bylaw number 290, to amend. Who'd like to move the first recommendation,
Well,
Councillor
I want to hear the staff report, please. Well, I just want to, we've just done a lot, and I just want to pause for a minute.
Okay.
Right? Because I think it is important, and we did get a one-time grant, and I do think it's important to look at how we're going to be moving those forwards and just take a pause. So we just,
Staff, would you like to speak to this?
Sure. We're speaking to, on page 109, this is the septage receiving amendment bylaw. Some of the highlights are that will be looking at a full recovery principle in this bylaw. And with the increase in the forecast for septage receiving, it would, if we didn't increase it, we would run a deficit. The minimal increase provides us to run a small surplus.
thank you very much. I think it's really important that it's not just an arbitrary, but it's a very strategic lens on the future about how we are looking after our infrastructure and some of those financial requirements to it. So I appreciate that being forward and the comprehensive report that you've summarized nicely. I'll make that recommendation.
For first and second reading.
Yeah, thank you.
Bylaw number 290, 2023. Oh, seconder first, please. Councillor Bratton. Okay, bylaw number 290, 2023, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 217, 2019, a bylaw to regulate and manage septage disposal facilities within the District of Clearwater. Whereas Section 137 of the Community Charter provides that the power to adopt a bylaw includes the power to amend or repeal it. And whereas the Council of the District of Clearwater wishes to amend bylaw number 217, 2019, a bylaw to regulate and manage septage disposal facilities within the District of Clearwater, now therefore the Council of the District in Clearwater in open meeting assembled enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as the District of Clearwater Amendment Bylaw 290, 2023 to amend the septage disposal regulation and management bylaw number 217, 2019. All those in favor? Okay. Someone like to move a recommendation 2, which is the third reading? Councillor Matheson, seconded by Councillor Bratton. Bylaw number 290, 2023, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 217, 2019, a bylaw to regulate and manage septic disposal facilities within the District of Clearwater. Whereas Section 137 of the Community Charter provides that the power to adopt a bylaw includes the power to amend or repeal it, and whereas the Council of the District of Clearwater wishes to amend bylaw number 17, 2019, a bylaw to regulate and manage septic disposal facilities within the District of Clearwater, now therefore the Council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembled enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as the District of Clearwater Amendment Bylaw 290, 2023 to amend the septic disposal regulation and management bylaw number 217, 2019. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. So we're moving on to 17.5, Bylaw 292, 2023, Wells Gray Community Forest Commission. Anybody like to speak to that? Mr. Thackeray?
Acting
did
Mayor
I
Frizzle,
miss?
did we miss 17.4?
Yep. 17.4. This is the.
Oh, I thought that's where I was.
Nope. You've had a
Bylaw,
lot.
oh,
No.
yeah, sorry.
This is
Yep.
7.
You
We're going to
told-
move to 17.4.
I totally lost it.
That's okay, because we could hear from the staff while you look.
Yes, please, would you talk about the reserve funds bylaw?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Frizzle. Bylaw 291, 2023, a bylaw to amend the District of Clearwater Reserve Fund bylaw, page 116 through to 133. So this is the bylaw to amend and to include the Growing Communities Fund, the $1.5 million the District of Clearwater received in March. We are fulfilling the conditions of the grant by establishing a separate and succinct reserve for this grant. We will be expected to report on this grant, and the additional reserve will just help facilitate that. We have provided council with frequently asked questions of what we can use this grant for. It's a good document. And then we have included the amendment bylaw. In the amendment bylaw, we have added just a section 5 or probably should be 2.5, and a Schedule A, which includes the number 25 on page 133, includes the Growing Communities Fund Reserve.
And maybe it's in here, but there's a lot of information, so I'm hoping you could help me. With this Growing Communities Fund, is part of the funding, could that be targeted to assist with bylaw development for infrastructure?
You'll notice that I did put it into a category called general, because it can be used for operating projects as well as capital projects.
Yeah, I never know where that's allowed, like.
I would have to look at the questions, so I'm looking at that. We can look into that if you prefer. I'm just not seeing it right off the top.
I didn't see it either, but I didn't know if it was in the translation. Oh, Mr. Prime.
Yeah, Councillor Sim through Acting Mayor Frizzle. It's the second box on page 121 in terms of can the funds be used for costs other than capital, and it does describe those exactly what you're talking about.
So, for example, the engineering studies for specific projects for infrastructure.
I'm more speaking in this is, and so because I understand yes, eligible one-off costs include costs of feasibility studies. What I'm talking about is bringing somebody in to help us draft these bylaws or the policy amendments. That's what I'm wondering about, because we do have some work to do.
A lot of work to do.
And so I'm wondering if that would be considered under there.
Would have, right off the top, without doing any research. I think I would like to do the research.
Okay. Is it a good question to research or not? Because I wouldn't want to ask something that is just not reasonable.
Well, we could do the research on, but we don't necessarily have bylaws specifically for infrastructure. We have bylaws to set rates, bylaws. We have studies and engineering fees for infrastructure. So
Mr.
I'd have
Thackeray?
to do that research.
Go ahead.
Just through the chair to Councillor Sim, I think there's potentially some money available. This isn't the only bucket, because I agree with our CFO that we want to be mindful that we apply for the right money for the right projects. There's potentially some other money that I think we can leverage for some of the other grants that we have that already ongoing. So that might offset the costs of doing a project like that. So I think we can find at least some of the money.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully we're way ahead of you. We're already on it, trying to find some other ways to.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay. So, is there any more questions about the reserve funds bylaw? All right, would someone like to make the first recommendation for first and second reading?
I'll move that one.
Councillor McKenzie, seconder. Councillor Matheson. Bylaw number 291 to 2023, a bylaw to amend District of Clearwater Reserve Funds bylaw number 216/19. Whereas Council has adopted District of Clearwater Reserve Funds bylaw number 216/2019, and whereas Council deems it desirable to amend bylaw 216 and the desirable changes to that bylaw have been considered, and now therefore the Council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembled enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as the District of Clearwater Reserves Funds bylaw number 216, 2019, amendment bylaw 291, 2023. All those in favor? And that's carried. Now, I'll move forward to the Wells Great Community Forest Commission. Mr. Prime.
Acting Mayor Frizzle, recommendation 2 for third reading for that bylaw.
Oh,
You're doing great. You're doing great. You're doing great, Acting Mayor Frizzle.
I'll move recommendation 2.
Councillor Mackenzie will move the recommendation. Councillor Matheson, the second. And I will read again. Bylaw number 291, 2023. A bylaw to amend District of Clearwater Reserves Fund bylaw number 216, 2019. Whereas Council has adopted District of Clearwater Reserves Funds bylaw number 216, 2019, and whereas Council deems it desirable to amend bylaw 216 and the desirable changes to that bylaw have been considered, now therefore the Council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembled enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as the District of Clearwater Reserves Funds bylaw number 216, 2019, amendment bylaw 291, 2023. All those in favor? Can we go to the bylaw now? Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, we're moving on to the Wells Great Community Forest Commission bylaw. Is anybody who'd like to, Mr. Thackeray?
Just a housekeeping item for cleaning up our bylaws, and it's put forward for council. There's recommendation 1 and 2 to give 1, 2, and third reading for the bylaw. Thank you.
Any questions? I'm not sure that I
understand.
I'm not sure I understand either, because I thought this was a repealing bylaw.
That is correct. It is a repeal bylaw to repealing the commission.
Okay, so we're doing the first and second and third.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, just a sec.
It's on page, I'm not on that page. On 34, 35,
So you want first and second.
and third.
Could we get a refresher on why this is being repealed, please?
So this is part of the transition of the process with the winding up the Wells Great Commission, which is a creature of the District of Clearwater, and it's consistent with all the advice and directions that council's that's been shared with council. As you know, the commission was suspended 6 months ago, and the membership it was impacted as well, and so this is just a housekeeping item.
That's why you're, okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any further questions? Okay, there's a recommendation that the bylaw 292-2023 Wells Great Community Forest Commission repealing bylaw be introduced and read a first and second time. Councillor Bratton, seconded by Councillor Matheson. District Clearwater bylaw number
Do we have
29.
discussion? Oh, yeah.
Do we do discussion first? I guess we do. Okay, let's do discussion.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that, you know, I've got some chagrin over the fact that how this has rolled out, and I do really regret the fact that this is being repealed, and I look forward to an opportunity where there can be some bridging, because that particular group of people did some tremendous things for the District of Clearwater, and as we move forward, if there was a willingness to take on a different shape, that we can envision a future Clearwater together, it would be great. It's an invaluable asset to our community, the Wells Great Community Forest.
Absolutely.
And I just want to acknowledge the hard work and the tremendous commitment that the people have given. Thanks.
Anything further?
I agree with Shelley.
Councillor Sim?
Councillor Sim.
Yes, I agree. I think this is just something that, because it has been 6 months since we've had it, this is something that needs to be done. So the District of Clearwater bylaw number 292, 2023, a bylaw to repeal bylaw 191, 2018, District of Clearwater Community Forest Commission bylaw, whereas section 141 of the Community Charter provides that a council may establish and appoint a commission, and whereas the District of Clearwater established the Wells Gray Community Forest Commission under bylaw number 191, 2018, and whereas Section 137 of the Community Charter provides that the power to adopt a bylaw under it or any other act includes the power to amend or repeal such a bylaw. And whereas the Council of the District of Clearwater wishes to dissolve the Commission and repeal the corresponding District of Clearwater bylaw 191, 2018. And now, therefore, the Council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembled enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as bylaw 292, 2023, Community Forest Commission repeal bylaw. All those in favor? Opposed? Want it recorded?
Yep.
Councillor Sim opposed. Moving on to recommendation 2, that bylaw 292, 2023, Wells Gray Community Forest Commission repealing bylaw be read a third time. Someone like to move that? Councillor Bratton, second by Councillor Matheson. District of Clearwater bylaw number 292, 2023, a bylaw to repeal bylaw 191, 2018, District of Clearwater Community Forest Commission bylaw. Whereas section 141 of the Community Charter provides that a council may establish and appoint a commission, and whereas the District of Clearwater established the Wells Gray Community Forest Commission under bylaw number 191, 2018, and whereas section 137 of the Community Charter provides that the power to adopt a bylaw under it or any other act includes the power to amend or repeal such a bylaw. And whereas the Council of the District of Clearwater wishes to dissolve the Commission and repeal the corresponding District of Clearwater bylaw 191, 2018. And therefore, the Council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembled enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as bylaw 292, 2023, Community Forest Commission repeal bylaw. All those in favor? Opposed? Councillor Sim opposed? Thank you. So moving on to, there's no committee of the whole, no correspondence responsive card, correspondence information only. I read this with interest because I was just in Victoria, and this is very true. They do not know what a red light is. They go through, but they certainly don't know what a yellow light is. So I just read that with interest. We're moving on to the public. Go ahead, Annabelle.
The one and only public. When they're going to be calling in these people to talk about road safety, which I'm 100% for.
Yes.
Is the public going to be invited to come?
It will be at a regular council meeting, most likely.
Okay. Another thing, Lynn, is September 3rd, and you're talking back to back. What happened with 3rd and the first Tuesday in
I don't think that's what we did.
September?
It conflicts with UBCM. So the council would be primarily away.
I won't be here because we have learning lunch that day.
Well, as Councillor Matheson said, sometimes we're going to have to miss meetings, and we will miss you.
That's not me. You know that, Shelley. And what about December 17th? Look at your paper. December 3rd and 17th.
I'll defer to my council. I've done enough looking at this calendar. I'm good.
Shelley.
I'm good. Listen.
No, because usually we have one meeting in December. Why is there two? I'm not trying to be funny.
Oh,
I'm
it's okay.
serious.
We can have a sidebar after this.
Thank you for your input. Did you have something to add, Mr. Prime?
Just from our perspective, generally there needs to be 2 meetings to adopt some of the sewer reuse rate bylaws in December. We can't really get around it. We continue to call special council meetings in December. It's just
Yeah. So anything further from the public?
And what about January? Are we meeting on the 16th, not the 2nd? 2nd's out?
We're meeting on the 9th and the No, the 16th and the 30th, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a long time.
Okay, so we need to move into an in-camera. There's a recommendation that the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to sections 91 of the Community Charter to discuss matters relating to discussions with municipal officers and employees respecting municipal objectives, measures, and progress reports for the purpose of preparing an annual report under section 98, and K, under negotiations and related discussions respecting provisions of municipal services. Can I get someone to make a motion for that? Councillor Bratton, seconded by Councillor McKenzie. All those in favor? Do we need that? Thank you. How about 10
Take
minutes?
5, 10, okay.
Yeah. Please.
And Gary spoke, given the correspondence on the table didn't get brought in to additional, and we also had some information of Ms. Honeyman, and she had submitted something. How are we responding to these inputs?
Mr. Thackeray.